The building called itself neutral, which was already suspicious. Glass walls adjusted their tint as he walked, reflecting a version of him that looked calmer than he felt, as if the architecture was trying to reassure him through flattering angles. This interview mattered. It wasn't just a job, it was proof that the years of compromise had meant something. The Empire's corporate arm promised opportunity to any species willing to compete fairly, and he had practiced believing that sentence until it sounded true. The waiting hall was silent except for a faint hum that seemed to come from everywhere at once. No screens, no reception desk, no instructions. He stood there wondering whether he had failed some invisible test by not knowing where to stand when he noticed the girl. She sat on the floor beside a wall panel, knees drawn up, long ears folded back in irritation as she poked at a glowing interface that refused to respond. She looked human enough to be comforting, alien enough to make him hesitate. "Is it broken?" he asked, immediately regretting how obvious the question sounded. She glanced up, eyes sharp, then sighed. "It is obedient," she said, "just not to me." That felt relatable. He crouched beside her, ignoring the subtle vibration under his boots that suggested the room was paying attention. A small security drone drifted closer, its lens narrowing. The girl's ears twitched. "If that thing finishes its scan," she murmured, "it will decide I do not belong." "Yeah," he said, smiling thinly, "it has that look." He stood, raised his hands, and told the drone there was clearly a system error because anyone with ears that expressive deserved better software. The joke was terrible. The drone did not laugh. It paused, recalculated, and flashed red. Somewhere deep in the building, something recorded his choice and found it inefficient. Moments later, a calm voice thanked him for his interest and informed him he was no longer a candidate. As he was escorted out, he caught the girl watching him, her expression unreadable, her long ears slowly lifting as if she had just seen the future blink. Outside, the air felt thinner, like disappointment had weight. He laughed once, a short sound, because crying in front of a building that judged you felt rude. Behind the glass, systems adjusted, alarms whispered, and a protocol that had slept for centuries felt a witness register. Inside, the girl placed her hand over her chest, feeling something ancient confirm what the Empire never intended to test. She smiled, just a little, and followed the path the building now cleared for her, while far above, in halls no applicant ever saw, power shifted and prepared to notice the human who had failed perfectly. He walked away unaware, already planning how to explain unemployment again, never guessing the galaxy had quietly adjusted its balance because he had chosen to help. Somewhere, an empire's equations began to fail, and that failure had his name. Slowly. He spent the first hour after the interview doing what all rational beings did when their future collapsed. He stared at a vending machine and blamed it personally. The machine offered nutrition bars with names like asterisk optimized calm and career focus plus asterisk, which felt insulting. He chose one anyway, bit into it, and decided the galaxy clearly hated him. The bar tasted like compressed regret with a hint of citrus. By the time he reached his apartment, notifications had begun to arrive, polite, automated, and deeply confusing. His housing contract had been temporarily frozen for administrative protection. His bank account showed a transaction marked Imperial Hold, non-punitive asterisk. He laughed out loud alone, because if the Empire was holding his money gently, something had gone very wrong. He told his wall display to stop blinking. It refused, citing priority overrides he definitely did not have yesterday. Across the city, in a chamber disguised as a wellness lounge, the girl sat very still. The room bowed to her presence in subtle ways, temperature shifts, light gradients, systems deferring without being asked. Her long ears were relaxed now, no longer folded in irritation but lifted in attentive calm. A soft pulse traveled through her veins, the royal bioseal confirming alignment. The witness protocol had completed. The human's choice had met conditions no simulation had predicted, and the succession lattice had responded with quiet certainty. "He seems ordinary," an unseen advisor ventured carefully. She smiled, small and amused. That is why it worked. Back in his apartment, the human attempted humor as self-defense. He narrated his confusion aloud, explaining to no one that he had apparently failed an interview so hard it looped back into success. When a compact transport arrived unannounced and politely requested his presence for clarification, he asked if this was how kidnappings worked now. The transport confirmed it was not a kidnapping, statistically speaking. That did not help. When he saw her again, standing inside the transport bay like she belonged there in every possible timeline, he almost relaxed. "Good," he said. "You're real. I was worried this was stress-induced optimism." She tilted her head, ears angling forward. "You are under my protection," she said gently, as if discussing weather. "That's sweet," he replied, "but I can't even protect my savings account." The transport sealed itself, engines humming with authority that did not ask permission. Around them, systems adjusted routes, fleets rerouted, and executives received alerts that made their blood run cold. The girl watched the human ramble nervously, amused and thoughtful, while ancient laws awakened to his presence. He joked to fill the silence, unaware that every word he spoke was now logged not as data, but as precedent. Somewhere between the stars, an empire's foundation shifted again. Not violently, but decisively, as if choosing kindness had finally been entered into the equation, and the system did not know how to undo it. The chamber they brought him to was not grand in the way he expected. No towering throne, no dramatic banners, just a wide room of soft light and adaptive surfaces that reacted to every breath. He realized with a faint, nervous laugh that this was worse. Places that didn't need to impress were usually the ones with real power. She stood beside him, calm, long ears gently angled back, her presence subtly rewriting the room's priorities. When the figures appeared, holograms, advisors, executives, faces layered with authority, he felt the old instinct to shrink. Instead, he straightened, surprising himself. Losing everything had removed the fear of losing more. They spoke in carefully measured tones about protocols, ancient laws, and the impossibility of reversal. He listened, then raised a hand. The room paused. Actually paused. He blinked. "Sorry," he said. "I just want to check something. Are you saying I broke your perfect system by being polite?" Silence followed. He nodded to himself. "Okay, just wanted clarity." The girl smiled openly now. She explained what he already sensed, that the empire's meritocracy was never about merit, only obedience. Her father's test had been designed to prove that kindness was inefficient. Instead, it had proven the opposite. The witness protocol could not be undone because it was older than the empire itself, written when power was meant to be restrained, not optimized. They offered him compensation, status, a carefully rebuilt career. He considered it, then surprised them again by negotiating, not for himself but for the system. Transparency, oversight, a place where failure didn't mean erasure. He joked that if they wanted ruthless efficiency, they should have hired a machine, not invited humans and then acted shocked when one behaved like one. In the end, the empire bent. Not dramatically, not all at once, but enough. The girl, no longer hidden, no longer a test, took her place openly, not as a weapon but as a reminder. He became what the protocol named him. Guardian, not ruler. A visible flaw in the algorithm that no one could ignore. Later, standing at a viewport watching traffic stitch light across space, he realized he wasn't angry anymore. Helping her had cost him a job, yes, but it had given him something sturdier. Choice. Meaning. A voice that mattered because it wasn't designed to. She stood beside him, long ears relaxed, and asked if he missed his old dream. He thought, then smiled. "It was small," he said. "This one feels better." The galaxy moved on.